The footprints that were once undefined are too immediate to be called tracks. Each time they are taken by the wind, melted by the rain, and returned to the soil, people ruminate on their own steps and their thoughts, and visualize a firm path that should not exist there. Rut is a dynamic proof that connects shifting points, a form of transition that cannot rest on any stationary coordinates. One is here and not here. One goes there and cannot stay there. It is a bubble of amplitude that seems to take shape in the condensation of a moment and bears the fate of a transition that can never be completely fixed. To call the transition a trajectory is a naive misconception, and to call it change is laziness on the part of the observer. In essence, it is a chain of intermediary states that appear in between the transitions, and even the ground we think we have stepped on is an illusion on the sand that crumbles the next moment. Even so, one continues to carve. In sand, in mud, in memory, in concept, to hand down the here that should not exist to the illusory there. If transience is the only certainty, then the rut is a continuous variation of perception, digging toward a point yet to be reached. Its silhouette is vaguely distorted, wavering between the past and the future. The trajectory indicates a line of destiny, a play of coincidence. The ground you step on becomes the past the moment you step on it. With each step, the localization of space is renewed, and the subject continues to shift its own coordinates as if gliding. To be here is to disappear in order to give birth to the next here, an infinite series of transitions woven by continuity and rupture. What do the ruts tell us? This trace, which the self treads in order to be itself, is really a constant, an ethereal embodiment. It is an improvisation of consciousness that exists in isolation due to a narrowing of vision. In the reverberating swell of the past and the future, we simply stand at the point where we believe we are. The ruts that have been carved, never staying in place and never being lost, seep out into the next rut in an endless quest to continue drawing a formless realm of existence. Ruts are fossils of memory, irreversible tracks carved into the surface of the earth. However, its shape is in flux. The past, which should have been stepped on, never reappears underfoot. It is buried in the soil and transformed into a new rut, the collapse of a probability wave that converges on a single point of consciousness, the fluctuations of existence that diffuse in a single moment of transition. We think we have set ourselves at one point, but we are always shifting to the next point. Just as soon as we declare that we are here now, the next here is born, and the previous here becomes an illusion. The ruts do not disappear, but rather shift. They are carved over and over again, but their shapes are not identical. When one rut shifts to another, it undergoes endless variations between the past and the future. Even the continuity of the self is merely an illusion. The trajectory is a ghost sculpture that disintegrates while casting moments. The wheel bites the soil, crushes it, and leaves behind a groove that is both the residue of the past and the basis of the future. A kind of paradox, which is established while passing away and inherited while disappearing. The consciousness that slides over the coordinates never stays in one place, but only ripples as a possibility, like a probability cloud. Localization is the illusion of continuity. Transition is the inheritance of separation. The path once trodden has already been transformed, and it is built on the arrogance of identifying it with the path of the past. But the ruts continue to change. To trace the past is not to cling to it, but rather to walk while reweaving it. I myself, who perceive myself to be there in fact, fluctuate incessantly, never settling into a single state. There is no such thing as a still moment. That which continues to shift is called existence, and that which is localized but still in flux is called consciousness. Why is it that we can never stay in one coordinate and still confirm our own rut? It is because the self is the sum of successive differences and is merely a variable point that bridges the past and the future. Thus, the rut is a trajectory, but at the same time, it is a place of creation. If we try to find a solid form there, the engraved trajectory takes on meaning, and this becomes proof of change. At one moment, the shifting consciousness contracts and localizes to a single point, but in the next moment it diffuses and spreads omnipresent. This behavior, which resembles a quantum superposition, is the very indeterminacy that lies at the heart of human thought, continually redefining the relationship between the self and the world. To carve a rut is to renew oneself. To shift localities is not to resist the rush of time,